Good morning. Hand today is going to be Queen 10 of clubs. We are in mid position, technically a low jack. Only 8 at the table right now. 10 NL game folds to us. I open raise. We get a caller from the cutoff. So open raise from low jack looks something like this. It's not terribly different. Terribly different from EP3. If we can see, that's that. We're adding the rest of the suited aces. We're adding like king 8. We're adding 10, 8, 9, 7. We're adding a couple more pocket pairs, and so forth. So not terribly large, but this is our range. Villain here is playing 22-13 with a 2% 3-bet range. So 3-bet by position, 1 out of 50 so far. We do have some hands, some notes on him of his 3-bet range, but you can see in the cutoff he's playing about 25%. He does seem to increase his frequency as he gets to the button. Tends to call, so we don't have massive number of hands here, so our read's going to be less reliable. I think his raise is probably based on his numbers here. His raise is probably going to be like queens plus ace king, and he's just not getting. He hasn't had those hands in the 50 attempts the 50 situations that he's been in, where he could 3-bet. He just hasn't had that hand. So I put together a range like this. I had to keep adding hands just to increase it. I'm going to go with about 25.5%, 26%. I think that's going to be better than the like 18% that I think I initially put together. But you can see his cutoff is 25%. His call range is 18%. So I don't think we want to use this. I think we're going to be using something like this. Maybe it's a couple percentages low. Maybe I have a few more hands that we shouldn't have. Maybe like not. Get rid of the ace-9 offsuit, get rid of these, kind of bring us down. But I think he's probably calling a bit in position. The reason I say that is when we look at the ranges, we've got called 2 bets from the blind range, ace-10 suited, ace-3 off. We get called 3-bet out of position, ace-9 off. Called 3-bet out of position, or call 3-bet in position to ace-9, call 3-bet out of position 10-7. He's betting those and he's calling him, which kind of makes me think that he's going to be a little on the looser side here on his calls. So he's not going to recognize that earlier position players are going to have a tighter range, so he has to tighten up. I just don't really think he's probably paying attention to that. So we go to flop, and I'll note that we are a little bit deep. Effective stacks 143. So flop comes out 8-8-5. It's 8 of diamonds, and it's on us. So I think we're slightly tighter, not by a huge amount, but I think what we can do is if we do overpair plus, that's 21%, and then we have to find draws to balance that. And I think we balance it with 2-card backdoor flush draws. Trying to figure out why all of a sudden you can see we go from 21.37% down to 19%. So I guess it kind of is related to our draws here. So like 8s. That is all value. So that's better. All right, so we're at 30%. If we add even more, then we're probably likely having to add like some of these small pocket pairs and the middle pairs as bluffs. It is going to be meaning that our betting range is going to be, or that our checking range is going to be fairly weak. Kind of checking to give up at that point. I think if we do like ace high, we're going to start adding a whole lot of hands here. Really, geez, man. So that would be it, like 72%. So we do have a backdoor draw. My thought is that we're unlikely to connect with this board. So I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of folds, which to me suggests we're going to probably have to tighten up a bit. I mean, if we're having to find like ace-x hands and we're betting these under pairs, I kind of feel like at that point we're just going to have to reduce some of our value bets hand. So maybe like aces and kings we can just kind of check. Maybe some of our three of a kind hands we can check. You know, just to kind of reduce down. So like these we block some of the straights. So maybe we check those because we block them and we're going to be less likely to, or he'll be less likely to have a hand I can continue with. So maybe something like that. Maybe that's what we're looking at, kind of as a c-bet range about 48%. That's probably better, but we still have our c-bet range as like our backdoor flush draw. Note that his fold to c-bet stat when in position is 29%. So I just kind of feel like, and then it's 33% on the turn. So it doesn't look like, it looks like when he's in position, he doesn't like to fold a whole lot, which means I'm gonna have to improve somehow. You know, we're gonna need at least a double barrel probably to try to pick up this pot if I don't improve. I can improve though with any nine, any jack, any club, a 10 or a queen could improve it. So I kind of feel like here when I check, I kind of missed the bet. I think I should have attacked and I should have said, yeah, there's other hands, there's worse hands in my range that would likely prefer a check. This is one of them. I think we attack with this because if we pick up a card that improves us, we could easily fire second barrel. And really, any ace would probably be good too. Any ace or king, we could fire a second barrel on, just as a pure bluff, because that card helps our range. If villain thinks we're betting with like ace, king, king, queen, you know, those unpaired Broadway hands. So I check. And I think what we're gonna do is just gonna go ahead and do this because we would have been over pair. That's still a lot. I would have still just kind of attacked and tried to get some value. Okay, so all of these are gone. All of those are gone. All of those are gone. And we'll do that. Let's just do everything else. All right. So if that's our check, and then this guy checks too. Let's just check flop. Probe hasn't bet. And I don't think I have a note on that. You have called two half pot or greater barrels with the draw. He has that. So he checks behind. We're going to probably say that he's checking everything behind. I think those are proper still plays. Maybe he bets three of a kind. We'll say 50% betting three of a kind. 50% over pair. Yep. All right. So we'll do that. Turn comes out, ace of clubs. See, that's a card that really improves us. So had we fired out the c-bet, we easily fire again on this card. If he calls, he likely has an ace or an 8. Smaller chance that he has a 5. But I think this card gives us a chance to double barrel. So here we would bet for this probably half pot, maybe a little bit larger. Probably not. I'd have to check see if smaller size prefers, but probably about half a pot. And then if we bet half a pot, we basically double it. So we've got a pot of 15. So here I would probably just go ahead and do maybe like 2/3 to kind of really put the pressure. I think with 2/3 we're gonna get a lot of fold. We're gonna get the rest of the folds. Ace isn't gonna fold. 8's not going to fold. But I think we could easily do that. So in this case, now of the hands that I have, I think easily we would be c-betting, or we would be betting a top pair type hand, and then probably some of those aren't entirely value. Some of them try to get, well, I guess they are value. I think if it goes check check, we take a stab at some of these weaker hands here, just whatever we have left, just to kind of balance, to bluff the balance. Villain calls here, so we'll leave those slow plays in. Is it eventually? I would think somebody's going to raise. Raise. Yeah, don't quite see that. So we're going to give him like a top pair. I guess we'll give him these two. Pocket pair less than the second card. Give him the flush draws. Open ender. We'll do something like that. 9 of diamonds comes out. We miss. I think at this point, it's going to be hard for villain to fold. 30% maybe. I think if he calls this far, and I bet again, he might just call to bluff catch with these weak pairs. Oh, those are mine. Yeah, he might call the bluff catch with these weak pairs. So really, you're looking at top pair plus. He's got most of the stuff. He's not going to have anything. So for us, I think we continue betting top pair. I think we go for some value, like ace queen, ace king. I think the ace x hands we probably just check call, and these are just gonna be they're gonna suck for us, I believe. So I don't have my actual hand in here because I do think I messed up. I think I should have c-bet. Villain 13 checked behind, and really when we think about what is he going to check behind, it's going to be, I think, these weaker hands, these under pairs, and then nothing hands. So if we get rid of all of the top pair and do something like that, geez, I just hope for worse. So I show the queen 10. He shows a6, so he did have ace off, the 8 top pair with a weaker kicker. Could I have gotten him to fold on the flop? Possibly with that c-bet. But then if he calls the c-bet, then I think he's probably calling the turn bet as well. So check probably saved me some money, but I think overall we should be c-betting this. So we're gonna call low jack, 3 big blind RFI, and cut off with ace of diamonds, 6 of spades. He is in position check, call 50%, check on 8 of clubs, 8 of diamonds, 5 of spades, aces of clubs, 9 of diamonds. All right, so we got notes for him. He called with a6 off. So just going based on his range, we're going to check GTO real quick. So it's on us, and we should be c-betting about 45%. So that is, when I started looking back and cutting down what we're betting, it was cutting down some of those overpairs, and really that's what it is. So you can see like aces and kings are probably check. Aces a check, sometimes checking kings and queens. It's going to allow us to reduce how many bluffs we're going to need in our hand. What we're interested in is queen 10 clubs, so we should be betting 60-30 or 60-40, so a little bit more than half. So I think our check's probably okay. And then it goes check check, and now when we goes check check, now our bet makes sense here. So looks like GTO is agreeing that our bet's okay. We've got 9 of diamonds here, and then I kind of thought once we missed, maybe we need to bluff it. And queen 10 clubs, actually GTO says check here. And I think what's going to be interesting is really, what hands do we bet? Top pair we continue betting for the most part. Ace 10, ace jack. We don't. Where did the rest? Some of those ace highs are betting. Yeah, some of those ace x hands are betting. Check, check. And then we're checking the rest of these ace highs. So we're betting those, but we're not betting those lower ones. Okay, so that's why they are still in there. Or if we check, but why they drop out when we bet. We already had the 9. So the queen 10 is a check. Probably just going to be a fold here. But our flush draws. Jack 10, queen jack jack. Okay, so all of those are basically checks. So it looks like GTO is okay. Let's see if we bet this. If we bet 50% and he calls. All right, do we continue with our queen 10? My thought was yes, we do. And it is. We continue, and then let's say he calls again. I don't think we're firing. Because we're just kind of assuming he's going to have like an ace X or an 8. So yeah, then when you look at like the hands or top pair hands that we're doing, we're mostly betting like ace king. But it's a 3 of a kind. I think 3 of a kind bets we're going to be getting called by the ace X, and I kind of feel like that's going to be true. He's probably calling the ace X hands, and that's who we're going for value. Whereas here, when we checked and he checked behind, we bet he called. When we think about what hands are going to call, he has those. I think the under pairs that would probably call, so we can bet a little bit more with those aces. We do have him, and that's kind of interesting, kind of raising with the ace middle kicker. We sometimes fold with ace king. That's a strong play. I didn't consider this. Raising. Your kicker might not be good. Huh. Interesting. All right, so overall, I guess I didn't play the same too badly. Saved myself with some checks, but that's 60-40 mixed seems to be okay. And when we think about hands, we're not going to have the massive number of draws, so we're not always going to be automatically overpair plus betting. We're going to need some of those hands to check to protect our checking range, because if we're betting all of our draws, that means if we check, we're going to be overly weak. So this could be a pretty decent situation in check. We've picked up the flush. If this was a 9 of clubs, we're going to be betting again. And it's just going to make us harder to play, because it's going to say we're not always going to be betting, or we're going to have some of these backdoor draws as checks. So I think either way could work, and I think we have ideas both ways. But um, yeah, overall, save some money by not betting. And I think it had reasons for checking that flop because the board figures we're not going to connect, and he's got such a low fold to see bet stat that our fold equity I think is going to be much lower than what it typically is against a weaker 10-0 player. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another.